report because we did not finish the business with both conditional use permit and the variance. We finished that business Wednesday night and I'll report at our April 6th meeting.
Okay. All right, first public comment period. 33 minutes. You like to start with you. Go.
Since it was brought up, my name was brought up like 5 times here tonight by Kim. You will recall that in June is when I first started coming to meetings. You will recall that when I got up here and talked at that time, that I came out of the private sector and I was trying to get a little more knowledgeable about the town, right? And so I was looking on there and there were no packets. And so I think I asked in June, there wasn't a packet. And then I asked in July and there was no packet. And then it was August and a packet showed up, okay? First one I saw, and I went back and looked at others. I mean, I didn't intend on addressing this tonight, but if my name's called out, I gotta talk about it. What I was asking at the time was purely helping me to understand where I can find information, and I think that's what the electors meeting in 21 asked, is just where do you find information? So I have no problems with a notice of quorum being put on the website without a packet. I just didn't know that it wouldn't have a packet at that point, so.
We'll have a packet 1 minute.
Right.
I think
I just, maybe it just needs to be notices, a title of notices instead of town board meetings or special meetings, that would maybe help that problem. I did wanna shout out Kim for putting in for the last 2 months the treasurer's report. It's helpful, thank you, I appreciate it. It's very hard to keep notes on, something verbally stated, so I did wanna bring that up. And your suggestion about putting the Tri-Troy Alliance somewhere in the newsletter, great minds think alike. I think it's, it looks like it's a very positive organization. And I'm wondering why we wouldn't wanna promote, here's the successes we've had, and even if it's once in a while in a newsletter, or once a year, or twice a year, you report out that, hey, we achieved these things. I think it's a positive thing, it sheds good light on the town and the 3 municipalities, so. That's all I had.
Thank you very much. Any comments? John? Chris?
So I'd like to touch base on, the communication committee a little bit if I could. I think the communication committee is doing a good job. They are being tasked with doing a lot of difficult things, and they're, wading their way through it, and I think in the end, it's gonna come out the way the public wants it. Last month, I came up here and made a request that, we address to identify the meetings to be recorded, for the people that use this facility. And, it was put on the communications committee, agenda, the one dated on, February 27th, and I was at that meeting, I did record it. It is on my YouTube channel if you wanna check it out. And, the item did not get brought up, it got tabled, and it was just kind of a ran out of time type deal. So, I went back to the annual meeting and I quoted you, Joe, cause I took the recordings, and on the annual meeting from 2021, it was brought up and you said it should be automatic, that anybody that uses this facility, that the meeting should be, broadcasted over the internet so people at home can view them. And then, there was actually a motion made, and I put that video up on Informed Citizens as well recently, and basically, the motion passed, and, I just want, while you guys are having all your reviewing and Mill's checking on this and checking on that we can check on that, or get a motion or some kind of, either a ordinance or, a motion, just something so we can get some dialogue going on that, because it's important, because there's a lot of people that are texting me as I'm sitting here that are watching this at home right now, and they want to be able to see what's going on in the town hall here. So that's all I have for now. Thank you.
I do believe we addressed that one item that you mentioned about meetings at town hall, town meetings.
No, all meetings that are taxpayer funded, that you said it should be automatic, and there was also a motion on it at the annual meeting, and at the annual meeting, there was a vote, and I know it's advisory, but that's the will of the public, that's the will of our electors. So if you wanna look at it, it's on it's on my, Informed Citizens, you can watch it.
Right. And again, yes,
One quick comment. I did look at Jen's chargeback rates, and we would have to charge each of those entities, whether it's Potter's Lake, Lake Beulah Protective and Improvement, a minimum of $85 per meeting.
That's fine, that's wonderful, let's do it.
And that's only part of it, the other part is, they would have to request that. So you gotta go to those meetings and say, hey, how come you guys ain't doing it? If we get a request from those entities, we can't force it, we can't say.
Right, but Joe, if you're letting them use your facility, this is our facility here, and we are letting them use it, and they are being funded by the taxpayers who also fund this, and the taxpayers wanna watch these meetings like they're watching right now, they're sitting at home watching right now. Why are we giving $200,000 of money to certain organizations in the community here, and no one has access to see what they're doing?
Okay, I think what I'm hearing here is we need another discussion with the board for this, that. The questions that I had, Kim answered one of them, what would that cost me? And number two, it hasn't changed that they are not town, we have nothing to do with the management districts of either way.
Right, but the electors want whoever uses this facility, they want that to be shown because they're paying for it. We're giving up our facility to them, which is fine, but then let us at least be privy to what you're doing there.
Show up at the meeting.
Yeah, again, that's,
It's gonna have to, any further discussion on that,
Yes.
obviously.
yes. We're going into the weeds, what I'm saying is yes, and matter of fact, that's on one of my future,
I'm just trying to lay the groundwork so it happens, that's all.
yes,
Thank you.
understood. Okay, public comments.
Hi, everybody. I'm gonna shift the tone here a little bit and talk about something different tonight.
please.
Danielle Foster and 9304 Beulah Park Road.
9304? Good part. Okay. Thank you.
My name is Danny Foster, for most of you guys know me. I am a social worker. I am a mother to two children. My daughter's in second grade and my son is going to be in kindergarten next year. And I'm also our elementary school's PTO president. I'm here today to show support for our upcoming referendum that will be on the April 4th ballot. The school is asking the community to vote on an operational referendum. Tax-wise, for most of the people in our town, for the average property owner, this would equate to something less than $2 a day to support an operational referendum. As we speak right now, the school board is actually exploring what those cuts would look like, so I do encourage everybody to also watch the recording of that video. I was there earlier, and inform yourself about what this means for our community. We have only passed 2 referendums in the town of East, in the Troy area in the last 20 years. The last was in 2015, and it funded building Little Prairie, where my daughter goes to school right now. And then prior to that, an operational referendum was passed in 2006. In 2022, 106 school districts passed referendums in our state. 76 of those were operational. Our referendum is not to build a fancy new school or a pool or anything like that. It's to sustain and maintain the current level of programming and staff that we have today. If this does not pass, $2 million will be cut from the budget. I want you all to think about the impacts to staff. Our students, over the last 16 years, our school district has cut over $10 million in budget balancing efforts. The time is now that we come together to support our students, our community. I hear a lot, we don't want higher taxes, no one wants higher taxes. But we want a local thriving school district. And so I ask the board to please think about this, share information with our constituents in the town of where they can educate themselves to make an educated vote on April 4th, we have a choice. We can choose to support our school districts, we can choose to keep our kids here, or we can choose to make our district less desirable than our neighbors and force the hands of families who don't wanna sacrifice that for their kids, or send their kids to Orlando. Every time a student goes to a different district, a public school district, $8,000 follow them, and even more if a child has special needs. Those are our tax dollars going to benefit our neighboring districts that are leaving here. And if our school districts continue on this path, our money will go there too. Thank you.
Danielle, thank you for coming to our meeting, that was very helpful.
Thank you.
Another perspective.
I don't know if we can share about, there's a community session that will be held here on the 28th of the month. There will be local leaders and school district representation for the community to come and ask questions and have a kind, respectful discussion so that we can make informed choices on the 4th.
And you're going to send me information about what time?
Yeah, 6 p.m. 6 p.m. Thank you.
Tuesday, 2/28 here. I'll be at a ICC meeting, as I told you, in Waller County.
Thank you. If other board members could come, it would be greatly appreciated. And that,
Okay.
Hi, my name is Dr. Isla Gilbs. I live at W2495 County Road ES in the town of East Troy.
Can you spell your name for me, please?
It is AYLA GUILD.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I come here today as a community member, as a mother of 2 children in the district. I'm also speaking about in support of the East Troy Community School District referendum. I'm also a business owner. My husband and I own the Hive Tap Room on the other end of the town of East Troy. And we've chosen very deliberately to have started business here in 2018. And we cherish this community that we've become a part of. We've been living here since 2018. As you guys all are aware of, this operational referendum for the school district is a really important investment, not only to continue operations for the school, but it's really an investment in our community, our local businesses, and our property values. And so I want to present the perspective of a business owner, and what does it look like if we don't have a thriving school that can't afford to pay teachers to stay here, and we have this trickle-down effect. What does it look like in a community without a thriving public school? What are all the ways a healthy public school supports local businesses? In addition to high school students being employees and really learning and gaining the skills to become really helpful employees for their future. Think about all the people that come in for sports events, the locals and non-locals alike. They're coming and supporting other service industries like our company. Specifically, there's no surprise that hiring and employee retention since COVID for the service industry has been a real challenge. But what I tell every employee when they are hiring is that you're going to fall in love with East Troy and you're going to want to move here. If only you could find a house to buy. Without a strong school, our ability to retain those employees and my ability to sell East Troy is going to diminish. They're not going to want to move here and start a family here if there's not a strong school. That's going to increase the turnover in an already struggling service industry. The people that work for us, a lot of them don't own homes, they're renting with the hope to buy as soon as they can. And so I'm thinking about this population that they're wonderful, they'd be wonderful additions to our long-term community, but they can't stay here if there's no good school for their growing families. It's gonna make running a business in East Troy much more challenging, and we wanna grow businesses in this town, not shut them down. So,
We do have another public comment a little later on, if you're not complete.
okay.
Is that all of it?
I have one final statement. Okay, I urge you to think of the ramifications of the school not supported and vote yes April 4th.
Hey everybody, my
My name is Brett Foster, N9304, Beal Park Road, East Troy. Not to beat the dead horse here with the staying on the same topic here, and by the way, I really appreciate the opportunity to speak, for you guys tonight. Try to keep it sweet and concise. As a former student of East Troy, a parent with 2 small children, well, one who's in East Troy, one who's about to go to East Troy, local IT consultant. I just want to speak a little bit in support again of the referendum. I kind of waded into the waters of social media regretfully just to see kind of what the opposition's voice was regarding all of this. And I feel like there's a lot of misinformation going around. A lot of people seem to think, oh, if we don't support this or we don't say yes, somehow maybe if the school district dissolves or whatever, our tax, now we get to save our taxes. And it's just not true. As she said, my wife stated, those tax dollars will follow the student to the district. So now your tax dollars are going out of East Troy instead of staying in East Troy. You have less of a say of what's gonna happen with these students' education. And it's just kind of, your resources are no longer local. And to hear some people also echoing, sadly, national talking points about what's happening in public schools, and they're indoctrinating students with this or that, or, trying to tell me what my kids are learning. I'm very involved in my children's education. I don't think that national politics have any place in local politics. That's just a personal opinion. I feel like that kind of was always the way in the last few years. It's really gotten muddied for no good reason. But I can say that between that and other, neighboring constituents who have a vested interest in their own private schools, whether they are religious institutions or not, also out there speaking misinformation against the East Troy public school system. Not gonna point fingers there, but people who could potentially lose their tax exempt status because they're trying to influence local elections. Between all of that, I still think that we have a vested responsibility for our kids, for our school district, for our property value, for everything else, to support this referendum. I hear a lot of people say we don't wanna be in Quantico, and yet the same folks are seemingly okay with sending all of our tax dollars over to Quantico if this does fail. East Troy School District has cut $10 million from their budget in the last 16 years. If this referendum fails, an additional $2 million will be cut. A lot of these people who choose to send their kids to private schools in East Troy, those schools are dependent upon the East Troy School District to supplement the services that they cannot provide, like buses and everything else. So they are not immune to this. They'll also be impacted. For homes that are about $350,000 or more value, this would be about $1.35 a day just to support it. I do realize I'm rambling a little bit. I appreciate your time. I really just hope that the board members and anybody who happens to be hearing this can vote yes in April and help the school district. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, do you have any idea how many children actually go to the Waterville School District?
I've never asked that number,
I can't speak to how many students are enrolled in the Quantico, but we have, over 1,400 students that are enrolled in East Troy right now that would be impacted by the cuts.
How many of the $8,000 kids are we losing to different schools?
More every year.
More every
It's
year.
already happened.
Frankly, I think the school district does a remarkable job, and I support the referendum. I'm just curious how much money is leaving.
I think that is a really good question that I can write down and we can share on the 28th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think you also need to say that the school district is the biggest employer.
Correct. Yes. It is the biggest employer in our community.
A lot of people who live here work there.
Absolutely.
All right, any other public comments?
I wanted to thank the board for the road that we're finally getting. I've been in conversation with Todd. Shorewood Drive residents are gonna have a meeting on the 25th to discuss the details of the road. As much as we're grateful for the road, I think there's some things that still need to be cleaned up in regard to our road and the project. I was out of town last month and I missed the meeting. And the month before in January, I asked, you guys had a road packet, and I asked everyone to turn to the page and let me know how Shorewood Drive was labeled. I believe everyone said private in their road. So we met with Chief Gurecki, and asked, there's a dispute between a neighbor wanting to use our roads and it's public. There's, an unfinished lake access that's notated as private as well. And I understand that there's no enforcement that can be had for trespassing on that road. I'm correct in saying that? Okay.
That piece of property you were specifically talking about, yes.
Yeah, and the road. But yet, when we had an agreement for snow plowing services for private road that was drafted up, the last part of that paragraph says, further, private road residents consent to allow the town on the private road to conduct said service and will not claim or attempt to claim that the town or its agents, employees are trespassing when performing said service. How do you expect me to sign something that says that you guys aren't trespassing when you can't even enforce trespassing, and I've asked to do it? There's nothing that's been
Will
said.
you on our services or not? There's your answer.
No, I'm just saying, I've asked to enforce the trespassing, and I'm told that that can't be done. And I'm asking how that can be done, because the other issue that came up is there's a lot that's across the street from my house that's gonna be subdivided. The owner of that lot, the new owner's already reached out to me as, I guess I'm the spokesperson for our road. This is just me personally, but he wants to tie the driveways into Shorewood Drive. So, that's gonna be part of our road meeting, it's yet to be determined if he can do that. I don't think there's a lot of buy-in from the residents on our road, but if he takes his construction trucks, the concrete trucks, the lumber delivery trucks, down our freshly paved road, how do we tell those guys they can't do it? It is a private road. Where do I go? And as far as like having the road blocked off for 24 hours, where does that block need to be? Where do I need?
You'd have to go to circuit court and get an injunction.
Where do I need to rope the road off? Where does that tie off need to be on our road for 24 hours?
I don't even know if that statute still listed that way. I know on Seminary Road and
Island Drive.
in the park, right?
Because there's signs posted that says private road. Can that be anywhere on the road that we block that off so you can't get through the whole road?
I think
It's a legal question I can't answer for you.
I can tell you it's already done. There already is a block off that's been closed for 24 hours every year on the road. Gene Colton at the end. Thank you.
Public comments. We have another period a little later. You good? Okay. All right, moving on, under unfinished business, approved emergency response plan. We had a couple meetings on this, we had a lot of back and